Hello and welcome to SCAN's Community Connections. I'm your host, Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas, and so honored to be the host of this show, and especially today with our wonderful guest, Kim Guadagno, who is the CEO and President of Fulfill, which is formerly the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean Counties.
That's it.
And all of you know her as our Lieutenant Governor, the first Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Jersey. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right? So I've known you for years. I knew you from your sheriff days.
Yeah.
When you were packing heat.
Well,
Yeah, all that.
don't do that anymore.
Yeah, right, okay. I'll believe you. But really, you've always been a wonderful person in the community, doing a great job, always a stand-up person. I think anybody that knows you has your cell phone number
That's
from your
true.
Lieutenant Governor days and all that, so just really always been great. So
And it's the same cell phone number now, still.
that's
So-
amazing. So good, I can just keep it in there and,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
it.
bother you with it continuously.
And vice versa.
Okay, very good. But anyway, he's always been wonderful, a great, I'll call public servant in a sense, in terms of being involved in the community and doing all these wonderful things all these years. And again, it's an honor to have you with us here today
Thanks.
at SCAN.
It's great to be here.
Yes, so tell us about Fulfill and, the people that you serve.
So people used to know us as the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County, and a couple of years ago we decided we wanted to change the name to reflect more of what we do. And our primary goal, of course, is to feed the 136,000 hungry people in Monmouth and Ocean County, but we would really prefer that they not be hungry at all. In other words, get them the tools they need to get off the line. So we do a lot of things. We make sure they sign up for food stamps. We make sure they get affordable health care if they need it. We help them get housing. We do their tax returns. Last year we did 4,700 tax returns, got about $6 million in refunds for our clients. It really is. So we wanted people to understand that when you come to Fulfill, you are getting more than just the food that you need to survive, but you're also getting the services you need to get off the line altogether.
Great.
Yeah.
So on that vein, besides providing food to people in need, what are the actual other services or programs that you offer?
A number of different programs. Let's talk about kids first, because what people are surprised to hear, I think, in Monmouth and Ocean County, one of the richest counties, I don't think it's unfair to say, in the country,
Right.
that there are 50,000 children who go to bed every night in Monmouth and Ocean County not knowing where their next meal will come from. So we do a lot of programs for kids. We do after-school food programs. So during the day, underserved kids can get breakfast at the Bell, and they can get lunch programs. But what do they do after the school bell rings for the end of the day? Well, we bring food to their school so they can have hot meals after school. And then what do they do on the weekends? It's 2 days before they get back into the classroom. So we do what we call the backpack program. We will quietly provide bags full of food, enough for 2 days. We'll sneak it into their backpack at the end of the day so nobody knows that they're hungry and that they're getting food from a food bank like Fulfill. So we do that program, and we serve about 60,000 kids in that program every year. So we help kids, a lot of programs to help kids. We provide, we also provide schools with programming that allows them to build gardens so that people can become self-sufficient in terms of food. And we provide educational programs that go with the gardens. We make sure that people, when they come to the food banks or shelters or programs, that they understand they can get food stamps, that they can get health insurance, that they can get housing. We do tax returns for them. A lot of anything that helps people get off the food line or have more money in their pocket is something that Fulfill is involved in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Our youth, the children are just innocent, they're just there, it's not their fault, whatever happened, or, they're in that predicament, and it's great that you step up and help them. And I think all of us in the community are thrilled that you're there doing that great work, because we want that for
it's the most
youth.
satisfying part of it. And what people need to know is that the people don't want to be on the food line, and people don't want to ask for help. Most of us don't. We all saw it after Sandy. Nobody wanted to ask for help.
Right.
But once you destigmatize it, once you make it available to people in the places that they live, which is what we've been making a real effort to do over the last couple of years, people are more likely to come out and get the services that they need, because they know in the long run they'll be able to get off the line. So most most of our clients are working poor. They're one paycheck away from losing their homes.
Right.
If I can get them the food they need, maybe they can use their paycheck to keep the home and the roof over their head instead.
Right, right. And for the kids, again, keeping their concentration levels up at school and all that, hunger is a big distractor.
I talked to a chief, now having been the sheriff at one point, I talked to a chief once about what I was going to do, and she was so excited because she said one of the fights she was asked to break up at a school that she was in charge of was a fight between two guys. One had taken the food off the plate of another, and you separate the two kids. She interviewed the child who was fighting, and she found out that that child had not had breakfast, had not had dinner the night before or lunch the day before. So when you took food off of his plate, it was worth fighting for him.
Yeah.
So it happens every day in New Jersey, unfortunately, and our goal, of course, is to make sure that it doesn't.
Right, which is great. And I've heard you say before that your goal is to put yourself out of business.
Yes,
right.
that's
So that
absolutely.
everybody has the food they need and can take care of themselves. That would be the goal, and that would be a perfect world.
If an able-bodied person is coming to my food bank or any of our food banks after 5 years, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, right.
There's some people that are, the elderly, the veterans, some homeless that will probably never be self-sufficient.
Right.
My goal is to help them survive, but also to go to the other ones and give them what they need in order to be sustainable and live on their own.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Now, the Beat Center in Toms River. Now, I'm familiar with that because I know we help support that because
You did.
what a wonderful organization. But tell our folks how that's related to Fulfill.
Well, it really came out of Sandy when everybody was helping everybody do everything. So
Right.
it's three parts. There's a pantry, what we call a choice pantry, so you can go grocery shopping yourself.
Right.
And walk out literally with a cart full of food. But there's a pantry, there's us in the middle to provide all these resources, and a culinary school, so you can
Yes.
get skills that can, are immediately employable after you finish our program. And then right next door is the Bon Jovi Soup Kitchen. Everybody thinks Bon Jovi is just in Red Bank,
Right.
but the Bon Jovi Foundation has opened a soup kitchen right next door to all of these services, and so you can go shopping or take a number to go shopping. You can go have a nice lunch at Bon Jovi Soup Kitchen, and in between you can get the services that you need to get out of that cycle altogether. It's a
Right.
great partnership amongst the three of us.
Which is amazing. And like the
Yeah.
location in Red Bank, person can just come off the street and have a meal there and just pay what you feel like.
No,
sort
it's
of like
not
that,
really
or-
pay what you feel. You volunteer.
Okay.
So many of, if not all of our food banks and soup kitchens are run by volunteers. Anybody who actually volunteers in a soup kitchen can get a dining certificate and go have a nice meal at the soup kitchen.
Okay.
That's one thing. I learned
Right.
that just yesterday from Dorothea Bon Jovi herself. I did
Wonderful.
not realize my volunteers can go and have a nice meal cooked for them at the soup kitchen. At Bon Jovi's Soul Kitchen, Soul Kitchen. And then if you want to, if you come from the pantry, you can get a dining certificate and volunteer at the pantry and then have a meal later on.
Okay.
So the goal is to have people feel comfortable, have people feel fulfilled is kind of an overused word in my world these
Yeah,
days.
but it's a good word.
Destigmatize it. Come, volunteer, help out, and then enjoy a nice meal together as a family afterwards.
Which is great. And again, John Bon Jovi and Dorothea, again, wonderful people that give back
Amazing.
all the time, doing great stuff in the community. And I know you've had a relationship with those folks for years as well.
Very lucky to be
Yep.
involved now on a level, it's truly one at a time. I mean, the foundation itself really wants to help one family at a time and provide wraparound services, and I'm glad to be some small part of that.
Oh, well, that's great. And you're a big part of that because you're larger than life. But we also know that the fishermen are getting involved with Fulfill now, right? And I've heard some things about this wonderful program, but can you share that with our viewers?
Very, very proud of this because it's only one of its kind in the country. It's totally volunteer. And to give it some background, the hardest thing we can do in the food banking business is provide good protein. It's very expensive. Usually we have to buy it or we get it donated from any one of our very, very generous grocery stores in Monmouth and Ocean County. The Sakers or Stop and Shop, the Scadudos, the Azalinas, all of them donate protein, but it's never enough to service our community. So we went to the commercial fishermen. Now, my prior life, I learned that commercial fishing is one of the largest industries in New Jersey, services a lot, has a lot of employees, but is also one of the most active in the country in terms of commercial fishing ports. So we went to Point Pleasant, and through the American Gleaned Institute and a relationship we have with an actual food processor by the name of Trinity, what we're doing is preserving the fish that they would normally toss. So fisherman goes out, he's a commercial fisherman, he's looking for a particular kind of fish, he picks up an unregulated kind of fish or a fish that he's not looking for that day, and instead of throwing it back in the ocean or in a dumpster when he gets off the dock, he throws it in a freezer, which we then pick up, take to be processed at a regular fishing processing plant called Trinity in Lakewood, and then we pick it up and put a recipe on it and send it out through our network to people that want fresh fish as protein. And we all know that fish is great for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a new thing for food banks to be able to provide fish because it's generally very, very expensive. Now we can provide it to them free. And it's through the largesse of Tyson's Foods. They've given us a grant to do it. We hope to get other grants to do it because it does have some cost associated with processing it in a safe way through Trinity.
Which is amazing.
That's great.
And another partner or partners that you have are some local corporations that support Fulfill, right?
A lot of like New Jersey Gas.
Yes, okay.
A lot of local corporations.
And it's nice when corporations understand and get it, right, and want to participate. So
well, it's the right thing to do. Corporate social responsibility is a tag word, but you live it. New Jersey Gas lives it, and we're lucky in Monmouth and Ocean County to have a lot of companies that actually live it. They walk the walk instead of just talk the talk.
Which is great. And you always need more or want more. I mean,
always need
there's
more.
always room for more.
Well, Fulfill itself is 87% donor funded, which should scare you if you're sitting in my chair, because that means I have to rely on literally going out and asking people to donate. Now, the good news is that for every dollar that's donated, that equals 3 meals, because we can use volume, right? We can package it all together and do large-scale purchases.
Right.
And also, every dollar that you spend, 96 cents, goes directly to the clients that we serve. It is a large number. We have a great status and intend to keep it on Navigator charity.
Yep.
Gold star status, 4-star status. But
impressive.
And quite frankly, if we don't have donors, not just corporate donors, but individual donors, we would go out of business. And if we go out of business, just to put it in perspective,
that's bad news.
280 different programs go out of business too. So the people that they feed, the hundreds of thousands of people that they feed every day, go out of business too, because they rely on the food that we deliver to them throughout Monmouth and Ocean County.
Right. So before we close up, I know volunteers are a big part of your program, right?
Large,
so what do you want to tell us about the volunteer programs and how to recruit them?
Well, recruit them, recruiting is easy, believe it or not, because people like what we do.
Yeah.
People understand that without volunteers, again, we would be out of business. Not just donors, but the volunteers. We have 2,000 volunteers on record. Today we have 30 volunteers out doing gardening at the plant in Neptune, the warehouse in Neptune. We couldn't do it without them. We couldn't pack the food without them. But the best story I have so far, where would be the last place you would spend your wedding day? Guess. Come on now, Tom.
Because you're at Fulfill, I'm going to say Fulfill?
A food bank. Okay. So we had a couple whose wedding day, on the day of their wedding, they said, I want the whole wedding party to come to Fulfill, sort food, and give back to the community before they got married. So we had a great day sorting food, but also had a nice little ceremony, presentation for them out in the garden, and that's how the wedding party spent their day before they got married.
That's amazing.
It's really a great story.
Well, that's a great story to end this wonderful interview, and we appreciate your time. Now, your website, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you?
fulfillnj.org, and you can find anything about donating, anything about running food drives, Fulfill, or anything about where the closest pantry and services are to you if you know a family that needs help.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Kim. We appreciate it as always. And thank you to our viewers for watching this segment. We'll be right back after this commercial. Thank you.
At the Save Green Project from New Jersey Natural Gas, we're bringing you rebates and incentives, including 0% APR financing, right on your natural gas bill to help make energy efficiency affordable. And with the possibility of no upfront costs and special incentives for moderate income customers, investing in equipment upgrades doesn't have to be out of reach. Go to SaveGreenProject.com for details on available rebates and incentives to help you upgrade to energy-efficient HVAC and water heating equipment. You could also be eligible for thousands of dollars in incentives for seal-up and insulation fixes. In the long run, you could be saving money on your energy bills too. Visit us at SaveGreenProject.com. That's SaveGreenProject.com.
All right, and welcome back to Scans Community Connection. Again, I'm your host, Tom Hayes, and it's great to have you back with us because we have another wonderful guest with us. Abby Daly is the founder and executive director of the Bridge of Books Foundation, and I know you do great work, and it's great to have you with us here today, Abby.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, I know we've talked over the years about different things. We do similar programs. We know how important books are, but tell us really what the mission of Bridge of Books is all about.
Well, Tom, it's a simple one, yet critically fundamental one. What we do is we collect new and gently used books for kids from birth through age 18, and we sort them by age group and for quality, and then we put them together by age group and we distribute them to children, underserved children across the entire state of New Jersey.
That's amazing, because I know when you first started, you probably were like kind of more local, right? And
oh, totally.
And now it's expanded.
We were on my porch for 3 years.
Right. So now it's all over the state. That's incredible.
Well, our home base is Monmouth County, so of course that's where our strongest presence of books is, followed probably by Ocean and Essex. And over the years, as we started to track where our donations were going, we started to see where we weren't really reaching as much as we should be or could be, and we really upped that in terms of getting people to help us deliver books and really discovering the amazing willingness of teachers and community providers to drive several hours on their own time to pick up books.
That's great.
And in turn, when we know that teachers or community providers are going to do that, we like to make it worth their while and really give them a big donation of books.
Right, that's great.
So, we've grown from 8,000 books our first year to we just hit 1 million books last December, and we're now at 1.1 million.
So that's 1.1 million in a given year now, you're saying?
Over the entire 15, 16 years.
I thought you said when you started with 8,000 and went to 1 million. I was like, what?
Not that good.
Okay, yeah, well, that's still, no, you're very good, but that's why I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of books.
Yeah.
It's funny because I chair the education committee for the United Way, and one of the things we look at is what they call the summer slide.
Yes.
And an important part of that is that, kids reading over the summer and enjoying the, to sit with their parent or just on their own to enjoy books. And if a kid doesn't have a book at all or a family doesn't have a book, there's no shot at that.
Yes.
So providing books is critical, as you said, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do. So kudos to you and your organization, your team, and all the volunteers and the people that donate.
Thank you.
It's really, really amazing. So what inspired you to start this Bridge of Books program?
I was working as an attorney for the Public Defender's Office, and then I worked for the Deputy Attorney General's Office. I did children's rights cases, and I knew I was going to be able to stay home with my kids, when I was getting ready to have kids, but I knew I wanted something to do in between the feedings and play dates and diaper changing, and the Bridge of Books, bringing the Bridge of Books to New Jersey sort of fell into my lap. And it was kind of a perfect fit. And so I started out looking for something to keep me involved in the community and very rapidly transitioned into an understanding of the significant gap in access to books among New Jersey's children, both here in Monmouth County and all across the entire state in their homes, schools, and communities. And I also started to see in the areas where the need is greatest for access to books, how much those resources were being taken away or just weren't there. Libraries were closing, school libraries were non-existent. Bookstores, if they even existed in the community, were inaccessible to most of the children that we try to reach.
Right.
So then it really sort of transformed into a passion that I'll talk to anybody about it and bring people along, because it's not that people don't care, it's just that they don't know that there are children here in Monmouth County who still don't own books. I mean, one of my stories that is my favorite stories is, or most meaningful stories to me, is maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I was in Asbury Park and we were doing a donation of books, and I was in, second or third grade classroom, and I looked down and there was a little boy, I think his name was John, and he had a smile from ear to ear, and he's holding 2 books, and I said, are you happy? Are you excited? You look like you're really excited about those 2 books. And he looks at me and he says, now I own 6 books.
Right.
And it's better, but it's heartbreaking when you hear those real world, everyday kind of experiences. We've been back in that school. We're not a one-time organization. We go to schools, and we've been in some schools for 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So he's probably has a lot more books now because of us.
But that's great.
Yeah.
Somebody obviously cherishes those books.
Yes.
And probably reads them,
Yes.
through and through, and
Yes.
that's what we want, because our
Yes.
youth needs to be reading. So,
Yes.
you're doing many things all at one time, but reading, as we've all grown up, reading is fundamental, right?
Yes.
So it's really important that we're getting these books into kids' hands. So,
Yes.
Again, I commend you and your organization for
Thank
doing
you.
that on a regular basis, because otherwise, you see it. Some of these kids just don't have anything.
Yes.
And it's not even, sometimes the parents don't, it's not that the parents don't care, it's just that if they've got to put food on the table or buy a book, they're going to go for food. I mean, that's right. So you're filling that need. And the other good thing about it is, like you said, they're either new or gently used. So
Yes.
from a recycling standpoint,
Yes.
it's great. Most kids, you read a book and you're done with it, or you had it around when the kids were little and now
Yes.
they're older and you don't need them anymore. And
Yes.
you hate to throw them out because they're in such good shape. And now you
where
have
we
an
come
outlet,
in.
right? Now you have an outlet where you can get those
Yes.
books and get them distributed to other kids. So
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
really a beautiful thing. So how can the community get involved?
There are several ways that the community can get involved. The biggest thing is just to visit our website, which is bridgetbooksfoundation.org. You can get involved by volunteering. We love corporate groups when they come in. It's a great team building activity, to get out for a couple hours and go and play with books, many of which you probably had with your own kids. It's a great school project. It's a great National Honor Service Society, National Honor Society, Eagle Scout, Girl Scout, Mitzvah Project, doing a book drive. I think what's particularly meaningful about Bridget Books is that young kids can get involved in doing a book drive, because they may need a little more parent supervision than, say, the older kids.
Right.
But they can understand what it means, that there are kids who don't own books. And for the older kids, it's a great way to start to learn project management skills, because their parents don't have to cart them somewhere, to go and volunteer for 3 hours. These kids, we have all the steps, we have emails, they can download it, they can edit it, they can send it out. It's really a way for kids, I would say, 5th grade and above, to start learning useful real world skills and have an impact while doing it.
Right.
And then financial donations are always more than welcome, because our aim is to make every donation that we send out as diverse as possible in terms of the number of authors, the genres that we include, Spanish and bilingual books. So those are the types of books that we have to buy. And while we're very stingy in how we spend our money and look for the best deal possible, they cost money. Books do cost money, and they really add a lot to our donations in terms of inspiring the kids who receive them.
That's great. And I think that's often overlooked, is the diversity of the need out there. Like you said, Spanish or other languages that, not everybody speaks English. And it's great if we can help kids learn to read even in their own language, while they're, learning English as a second language. But It's all critical.
Yes, some of the stories I've heard of from high school teachers of kids arriving from other countries who who don't know English, may not have a solid education in their own language, and trying to get them books just to help bring them up to speed.
Right, right. And you know, to own your own book is critical, right?
Yes.
Like a student to be able to say, this is my book, like I have this book, or you know, I can take it home and I can read it when I want to, and you know, if I want to play and have the book there, I don't have to worry about it having to go back to the library or whatever it might be. So, and it's just something to be proud of, and to kids love things like that. So that's another great thing, another great part of the puzzle that you're helping out with, right?
We try.
Now, where do you feel Bridge of Books has the most impact?
So that's several different areas. You know, here in Monmouth County, at Monmouth and Ocean County, we've distributed nearly 270,000 books since we started, which is 1/5 of our overall total. You know, it depends. It's the kid who's done the book drive, who's thrilled and proud to have done that and know where those books are going. It's for the kids who are getting books to own the first time, for the first time ever. It's for the kids who, we go and find kids wherever we can who might need books. It's for the kids who have to go and visit their parents in prison, and instead of, you know, having a sad visit, can at least have something by reading a book with their parent and taking that book home. You know, it's the kids who have to go with their parents to the food bank or sit in the social services office, who can be amused by having access to books.
Right, which is great.
It's across the spectrum.
So we have about a minute left. So like, what's next for the Bridge of Books Foundation?
Well, you know, we're exploring some more higher level collaborations with other organizations here in Monmouth County, because I think over the years we've had the opportunity to interact with a lot of different agencies. And when you collaborate with agencies, you can improve outcomes more quickly. And so we're trying to work on that right now.
Which is great. So again, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's your website?
www.bridgeofbooksfoundation.org.
Okay, great. Abby, it's been great having you with us.
Thank you.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Yes, it does.
But again, best of luck to you and the Bridge of Books Foundation and your team. And folks, just keep donating wherever you can. They could use the help and use those books. And thank you for watching us today. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Community Connection show. Take care.